have killed people. We have
We
lost
have lost
almost
so far two people here,
people.
a boy and a man.
Last time they killed a man, there is a guardian somewhere down, and where you have parked the car also, that's where they killed the boy.
And this morning, they missed two children.
These buffaloes, they cross. When we call them, they have never responded.
Well, welcome to Safari Classics TV. If you like Africa, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't, you're going to love today's show. We're going to go to one of the most exciting safari destinations in all of Africa, and I'm talking about the Pearl of Africa, the East African country of Uganda. Especially if you like buffalo hunting, we are going to show you buffalo hunting like you can't see it anywhere else on the continent today. Now, do me one favor. Like and subscribe. That way you never miss any of the action that's going to be coming your way. Speaking of action, let's head there right now. We're going to Uganda. Tim, let's talk Uganda. Are you there, Bwana?
Absolutely, and thanks for having me today, Dave.
It's a pleasure. Look, this is an exciting topic that we're going to be discussing today. Uganda has just come back with a bang. I mean, and really an explosion. It has just been a joy to see the conservation success that is today's Uganda, and the explosion of the game, and outfitters and you moving into that area, taking care of the game, and realizing the potential. Years ago, if we take care of the game will come back. If we give it a respite, the game will take care of itself. And good Lord, Tim, that seems to be the case.
Absolutely. The game populations there, whether we're talking about buffalo or Sitatunga or Uganda cob, it's like you see nowhere else in Africa. I've never seen anything like it anyway.
Well, this is a relatively new, a new country on the safari scene. It's one of the most historic safari destinations in all of Africa, but the modern hunting is relatively new. Now, when did you put your first footprint on Uganda soil?
I've been going for 8 years now, so I guess in 2017, and have gone on average once or twice a year since. So I've spent a few months over there on the ground. I don't know many places that you can go and expect to see 1,000 to 2,000 buffalo a day. And, there we don't really track, because it's all about covering ground and looking at the most bulls that you can look at to find what you're looking for, whether that's really old, whether that's wide, whether that's deep, or whatever. The more ground you can cover in the truck, the more animals you can look at, and the more of them you can look at, the quicker you can find what you really want.
Tim, I can't tell you what year it was, but it's been a while. Boddington and our buddy Bill Jones went to Uganda, and both of them were interested in taking Nile buffalo. And so when they came back, I said, now explain to me where the Nile buffalo are found compared to the Southern Cape buffalo. And basically what I understood, if they're on this side of the road, they're a Nile. If they're on this side of the road, they're considered a Southern Cape buffalo. And I thought, well, I've seen lots of buffaloes across a lot of damn roads in Africa, and that doesn't seem like a very scientific standard, for what's what. So I know you've got the skinny. So tell me, how are these buffalo that you're hunting, how are they classified now?
They're now all Nile buffalo.
That's what I thought.
So if you take a buffalo in Uganda, it's been classified as Nile, because far and away, if you looked at the whole country, you could tell most of them were just a little bit different, and they were Nile. So I don't know, it's been 2 or 3 years ago, they reclassified everything for the country as a Nile buffalo.
Now, is it just basically horn configuration or body size? Because I know I've seen some of the bulls that you guys have pulled out of there, and they are brutes by any comparison. So what, when you're looking at a Nile versus a Cape, what do you see that differentiates them?
Typically, and I'm using that very loosely, typically Nile buffalo, their horn configuration is just a little bit flatter, doesn't dip as much, and they're supposed to be maybe a couple 100 pounds smaller than a typical Cape buffalo. But like this guy back here over my shoulder is a Nile buffalo, and he took the biggest Cape buffalo form that they make. So he was an absolute tank. So, you can't really go by that, but I mean, genetically and with blood samples and all that, they're a little bit different. But I mean, we've killed some bulls with great drop and some hugely wide bulls and some tank body bulls. So, using any of those characteristics to say this is a Nile versus a Cape, it's really hard.
You're not going to be sitting there. This is not like hunting caribou where you're watching the buffalo migration go by and that you're finding one that's deep, he's old, he's wide, he's got a huge boss. The reality of most buffalo hunting is you're tracking your ass off all day long. All of a sudden everybody stops, the tracker points, the sticks go up, you get on there and this blob rises to its feet, 20 yards from you, and you're trying to tell whether it's his ass or his head that you're looking at. Instead of what's the sweep, I need to see more configuration of the boss. That's traditional buffalo hunting. Right. But if I use that ridiculous example of caribou migration, Uganda is about as close to that as you're ever going to get, because you really are going to be able to put the glasses on a lot of buffalo and look them over. And the other thing is they're calm buffalo. I don't notice them just, running the minute that they see a safari vehicle. They tend to kind of spread out and, okay, what are these guys up to? And you do get a chance to look over a bunch of bulls.
Well, and it's open. That's another thing. You're hunting in fairly open savanna. I mean, there's generally enough brush to move around and get close to the animals, but you can see it's not big jess thickets or whatever where you're just getting pieces of buffalo. But again, you can glass them, and you're looking at so many, you can be picky and say, hey, I'd really like to hold out for a couple of days and try to find a deep one or a super old one or whatever. The first day that I ever hunted buffalo in Uganda, I looked at 65 hard-bossed bulls off the truck before lunch. Now, that was an exceptional day, but that is the kind of day you can have there. And I didn't even shoot a bull that day. I was so in awe. All I did was take pictures and drool, I waited 4 or 5 days to shoot just because I didn't want to ruin it. But you can really wade through them, and if a guy will stay off the trigger, he can find exactly what he wants. Or the beauty is that most of those hunts up there end up being 2 buffalo hunts, so you can take the first really good one that you see, and then you can go grocery shopping for something exactly like you want or something different that you've already shot or whatever. And that's nice to have 2 tags in your pocket like on a caribou hunt.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Most, take out Zambia and Tanzania. If you want a 3 buffalo on a license, you're looking down the barrel of a 21-day safari, which obviously very expensive. So if a guy says, Tim, I definitely want to take 2 buffalo, what's the requirements, day rate, how many days you're going to have to do? So
our typical buffalo hunts have been 7 days, and that was if you wanted 1 or 2. And that is a lot of time to shoot 2 buffalo there when you're looking at that many. And we had a few people, that were used to traditional areas and thinking, man, 2 good bulls in 7 days, that might be hard to do. And they kept pushing. So Christian, our outfitter, has now made a 10-day 2 buffalo hunt as well, if somebody wants that. But it's certainly not needed, and you're probably going to be sitting around in camp for 2 or 3 days at the end, if not 4 or 5 days, with no buffalo tags in your pocket, because it's just not going to take you 10 days. For the last number of years, we've been hunting 2-on-1 for 2 buffalo apiece in 7 days, and still usually sitting around the last 2 days. So we've been killing 4, as a group, usually in 4 or 5 days. And that's trying to be pretty darn picky. So it really is incredible.
I want to ask you now, the Karamoja region, that is one of the most historic of all safari areas in Africa. And, Karamoja Bell is the reason, that happened. If he hadn't have written his 3 books, we would have not known. That was wild ass country. I mean, that was going into that area, boy, that was about as a risky a proposition, for a white guy as you could find in Africa.
He said, let me guess, white devil, white devil?
Those people that went into that area, you took your life in your hands.
Throw it! I dare ya!
I mean, it was wild country, and is mostly known for, Elephant and his exploits as a ivory hunter. But when you're in that Karamoja area, you tell me you don't just sometimes find yourselves doing a 360 out there in the middle of the savannah and saying, Bell himself probably stood not very damn far from where I'm standing right now, and he's seen all these vistas. He's seen the mountains. He's seen these big herds of buffaloes. He's seen the elephants. But I'm standing damn near, you can call it holy ground when you're in Karamoja.
And
how cool is that for you?
Definitely hits every time we see elephants. I mean, It's hard to look at a big bull elephant in Karamoja and not think about Bell, but absolutely, that place, every direction you look, it looks like a postcard. And I've definitely caught myself just kind of dumbstruck a number of times looking at those blue and purple mountains in the background, whether we've got a bull on the ground or not, and just thinking, this is hallowed ground, and this is where he hunted a lot. And to have that privilege to be able to hunt those same grounds is something pretty special. I mean, when we go from area to area, we stop at the Masindi Hotel usually and grab a bite to eat and maybe have a beer, and that's where Hemingway laid up and healed for 2 or 3 months when he crashed in a charter plane by Purchase of Falls. So that kind of stuff is all over in Uganda, and it's just it makes another special part of a safari there.
Now let's talk about, we've been talking buffalo. Now that's certainly the main calling card, but it's a long way from being the only species over there, and there's some very Uganda-specific species that I think most people going over there either they take them or they consider taking them. So walk me through, if your guy's got his buffalo and he says, what else is available? Let's walk through that list.
Well, some of the real notable things that are there are East Africa Sitatunga. And not that that's the only place to take one, but the area that we hunt there with some pretty thorough studies shows that there's more Sitatunga there per square mile of a river system than anywhere else in Africa. So, obviously the success rate's out the roof, the trophy quality's phenomenal, and there's just a lot of Sitatunga there. But in that same area, there are Nile bushbuck, and to my knowledge, that is the only country to take a Nile bushbuck. There's also East Africa bushbuck there, and the numbers are just insane.
Well, give me an example. You had said something to me one day. We were talking months ago, and bushbuck came up, and you hit me with a figure, and I said, I thought, did I hear that right? You see how many? You
can go see 75 bushbuck in a day, and sometimes that's not hunting them all that hard. That may be hunting Sitatunga early and late and hunting the bushbuck in the middle. But it is just insane how many bushbuck that you see there, and you really need to hold out and wait for something special, because if you just want to go kill a good ram, that'll take you about 10 minutes on any given day.
There's no other place in Africa you can do that, Tim. I've never, I enjoy bushbuck. I've always been a big bushbuck hunter. Maybe it's because they remind me of whitetail, the cover loving, early and late, they're right on the edge. They're an edge creature. But I got to see, and obviously
there's no place else.
Anybody watching this has probably figured out, well, Dave has not been to Uganda yet, and it is really the only, major destination that I have not put boots on, and I am gonna fix that.
We got to get you there.
Yeah, I got to fix that relatively soon, because I truly want. I mean, it just sounds like a paradise. So, all right, Tim. So you got those species,
and then the other big one is the Uganda cob.
The cob, yeah.
Yeah. So that's up by the Nile River. We hunt those in a concession called Oswald Low Limb, and you will see thousands of Uganda cob in a day. I mean, it's usually a one-day hunt, unless some freak weather thing happens or you get sidetracked with some other animals. But I mean, you will see thousands in a day, and it's really just wading through them and trying to find the biggest ram that you can find, or a horn configuration that you really like. You can almost go a whole day and you're never not looking at cob. There are so many. It's just truly incredible. And then, you got Jackson's hartebeest and East African Tafasa waterbuck. And up in Karamoja, there's a maneless zebra, and we've only got about 5 tags. But I mean, who's ever seen a maneless zebra?
Yeah,
it's a different subspecies, and they're really unique. So, in the 3 regions we mainly hunt, you may not have 25 species to hunt, but the handful of things that are there in huge numbers in each one of those areas.
Okay, let's talk about that. Now, if I sit down with you and say, Tim, I really kind of want to do a full bag Uganda safari. So what kind of travel are we talking about, and then how many days is going to be necessary?
You're probably going to do 2 weeks in total if you hit them all. And a typical itinerary would be, you fly into Entebbe, and the next town over is Kampala, the capital, and you'd stay the night there. So you get up the next day and drive 3.5, 4 hours to the Sitatunga camp, and there you would hunt Sitatunga, the 2 bush buck, and then you may hunt waterbuck there, you may hunt diker there, some ins and outs, but your Sitatunga and your bush buck are your main draw there. So when you finish there, you would take another drive, and I think it's about maybe 4 or 5 hours. You drive on up to Oswald Low Limb on the Nile, and you hunt your cob there. There's also Jackson's hartebeest. There's really big waterbuck there, and a few other things. Yep. Spectacular. And you're going to see elephants and buffalo and hippo and 20-foot crocodiles in the park as you go up there. So it's an awesome time, and you may want to fish for Nile perch while you're there. But you usually spend a couple days there, and then you make a little bit longer drive. It's about a half a day drive, and you'll get up to Karamoja to buffalo camp. And again, you've got buffalo and hartebeest and waterbuck and oribi and this, that, and the other that you can hunt up there. And then when you're finished with that, most people then will charter back to Kampala, because it's about a 10 to 12 hour drive all the way back down through the country. So it sort of makes a little triangle, or a big triangle, from camp to camp to camp. And you could do it in reverse. You could start out your hunt in buffalo camp and then work your way back to the Nile and to Sitatunga camp and back to the city. So you just kind of take a triangle. And the cool thing is, all 3 of those regions, the topography, the vegetation, the animals, it's all different. So you're getting a really, really good look at a whole lot of the country of Uganda when you hit those 3 camps.
Take a nice deep breath. Hang on. Wait for it, okay? We're gonna let him take another 2 steps. Dan, you got it? Okay, be ready.
Reload your rifle.
Wait.
Now look, we've got a segment called the Safari Breakdown, and I want you to not only sit in on this particular Safari Breakdown. I want you to to describe what happened, because a minute ago we were talking about the trophy potential up there, and I've been impressed every time. Every time we do a show up there, I'm just staggered by the average size of the buff you're taking. But like any area, every now and then you're going to take something that even if you're familiar with that area, you say, "Good Lord, oh, that's a good one." And so this week's safari breakdown is going to be, our hunter is going to be John Troll, who was formerly with Trijicon. And John was on his first African safari, which this just should be illegal, what we're about to see. But take it away, man. Walk me through this hunt.
Well, John and I went on this trip together, and like you said, it was his first hunt, and it was just charmed. He killed a monster Sitatunga at the first, but this is up in Karamoja, and we just went out one afternoon and cruising around, and we look over, and there's a bull buffalo feeding a couple hundred yards away. So we get out and make a stalk and get up, I don't know, we were maybe 75 yards, but this bull is feeding broadside to us the whole time. So we can see that his bosses are polished and he doesn't have big, sharp hooks, and he's obviously a taker buffalo. I mean, you can see there, you never get a great look at him head on or anything like that, but it didn't matter. I mean, he was a no-brainer shooter.
Yeah.
So John gets up, gets on the sticks. It's the perfect situation. Nothing's rushed. The bull doesn't know we're there. He steps out in an opening, and I believe Charles stopped him and, gave John the perfect angle. He made a perfect shot. The bull didn't go anywhere. But that's when it kind of went off the rails, so to speak, as we walk up to this bull just thinking, oh, he's taking another nice bull,
Hold on, don't get ahead of yourself. We're just watching. We're just watching him go down right there, and
so you see what a perfect shot. I mean,
that's about as flat as you can knock a buffalo with one shot.
That's it.
So look, you know now you've got a nice buffalo, and then now, oh my God,
yeah. So we walk up and see this thing head on, and again you can see there polished bosses. Its tips were worn, but nobody said anything for a few minutes because that thing was 47 inches wide, and Nile buffalo aren't supposed to be 47 inches wide. And it was the perfect buffalo. I mean, I don't know over the years how many buffalo hunts that I've been on or how many buffalo that I've looked at. That's the best buffalo that I've ever seen in my life. It was just absolutely incredible. And nobody'd seen that bull before. I mean, we see a lot of the bulls in the park next door when we go take photos. Sometimes they end up in the concession, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you see bulls in the concession, they get away and you're looking for a certain bull. Nobody had ever seen that bull, and I don't think we were 2 or 3 miles from camp when he took that.
Yeah, isn't that something? Well, look, I'm not sure that we've ever shot just overall a bull that big. We've shot a couple of real freak wide ones, but they didn't have the boss. They didn't... that thing literally had everything. Now, again, we filmed some, crater bulls and stuff up in Tanzania, some of those 50-inchers that live in a park, that lived and will die in a park. But I think that is the best buffalo we've ever taken.
This is seriously one of the best buffalo bulls I've seen in my life. Seriously?
Wow. Oh my gosh.
No, this is seriously one of the best buffalo I've seen in my life. I mean, he's got everything.
In tracks, this is our 20th season, and you know how much buffalo hunting we've done, and I mean all over Africa, not and of course, to take that on your first buffalo hunt, you should have got your ass in a plane and went straight to Vegas. And not just that, he killed a big Sitatunga. He killed like a 20-foot rock python out of a Sitatunga blind. Shot a big bush buck. Everything. It was charmed. Yeah, it was charmed. to say the very least. We've had people come 2 or 3 safaris with us in the valley just looking for a scrum cap.
Right.
But in Uganda, you got a pretty damn good chance of finding one, not just during your trip, but probably you'll see one every day you hunt.
It's very doable. They're not around behind every bush, but it's definitely doable. I mean, you guys filmed with us a few years ago, and there were 4 of us in camp, and 3 of us in a week killed scrum caps, plus some really, really old bulls. And,
old ugly buff. Yeah, they say you're trying to shoot the ugliest buffaloes you could find.
That's it.
And even an ugly buffalo is beautiful. It's all in the eyes of the beholder.
The older, the better. And, 2 years ago, I was able to take another one. So I've taken 2 scrum caps up there in like a span of 4. And you could look in a normal, good buffalo concession somewhere else in Africa for 15 safaris and never lay eyes on one. Yeah. And I can tell you this right now, we can take a drive over into the park any day we want to and see half a dozen of them. So, there are just bulls there dying of old age all the time. And that population up there, when I started going 8 years ago, was supposed to be 10,000 buffalo, and now it's 15,000. So we're not even scratching the surface on that population up there. But old is there. And there's a lot of serious buffalo hunters now that go to Uganda because they want something that is super old. And you can sure find it. You just have to stay off the trigger, which sometimes can be hard. I mean, you're looking at some great 40, 42-inch hard-bossed bulls, but if you're really looking for that old, worn-out, old scrum cap Dugga boy, you got to stay off and keep looking. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm sold, and like I said, this is a bucket list trip for me. And just in case anybody's curious, when I book it, I'm booking it with Tim Herald because, just real quick, Tim, a lot of people really don't understand the relationship between the safari operator that owns the camp and owns the land, ranch, concession, catata, whatever it is, and the agents that work, and they're usually, stateside agents.
That's right. That's what a lot of people don't understand. If you book the hunt with me or you book the hunt straight with the outfitter, it's the same exact price. Right. We're not tacking on, the client's not paying more. Our knowledge and help is what you're getting, and it's for free.
And it's generally worth its weight in gold, Tim.
Right. You have one hiccup, or if I tell you to go in January to April when you might have thought you wanted to go in August or September, I can save you a whole lot of headache there, or I can tell you the best route to get there, or what you want to do on your paperwork. This morning, I was helping a guy set up a buffalo hunt in Mozambique, and he'd never hunted a big animal like that, and he didn't have a gun. So we're going through different rifles, scopes, what kind of ammunition to use. And that's why I'm here. But again, the outfitter pays us to market for them a little bit, but the client is not out a penny, and you're getting somebody on your side of the world that you can pick up the phone and call and talk to anytime you want, that's been there and done that. That's what it boils.
I believe this February you and I'll be sitting down in Nashville at the SCI show, and we're going to be discussing this. And my advice is worth whatever it's worth because it's also free. But like I said, I don't think Tim Herald is one of the guys. I think he is the man when it comes to Uganda. And Tim, cannot tell you how much I appreciate you being with us today. And I've learned a lot, and it's just done nothing but whet my appetite to get over there because my career won't be it will not be anywhere near complete until I've got a couple of Uganda hunts under my belt. So, brother, I appreciate you being. I always enjoy catching up with you, and I always learn something. And I think anybody that saw this today, if they're a buffalo hunter, it's got to start a itch that you can help them scratch.
Absolutely, I can, and we need to figure out some way to work that out. That when you go over there the first time, that we go together.
Oh, 100%.
Way too much fun.
That's it. All right, Tim, man, I appreciate you coming in from Kentucky today, and it's always a pleasure to catch up. I will talk to you soon, brother.
All right, y'all take care.
Well, this letter comes from Mr. Keith Roberts of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Hello, Keith. I've actually shot a few antelope out in your country before. But Keith's question is, I've been watching tracks for years, and you usually use a three-legged shooting tripod, but I've noticed last year you started using one that looks like it has 4 legs. What brand is that? Well, Keith, it's called 4 Stable Sticks, because that's exactly what the name of the product is, 4 Stable Sticks, for a reason. Unlike a traditional tripod that just has 3 legs and you cradle the rifle front end over the front end of the rifle over the top, well, this one allows you to have stability on the front and back end, and that really takes out all the wobble. Even with the best sticks, you know, your rest is good on the front, but that back elbow, it tends to wave around a little bit. But with the 4 stable sticks, you plant that stock in there in the front and the butt stock in the back, and my friend, you are looking at a dead solid bench rest that's mobile. It's lightweight. You can stick it in your bag. You can carry it with you. The days of the 3-legged shooting sticks are over for me. It'll work in Africa. It'll work in New Mexico. It'll really work wherever you hunt. This is my buddy Todd Carell, a real veteran safari hunter. He's in Uganda and he's hunting buffalo, but he's going to take a little side trip with his plains game rifle because they've just seen a really nice Uganda cob ram. Now, these animals are plentiful. There's lots of them. You'll see 40 or 50 good ones in a hunt, but it's just you taking your time and lining up on one that you really like. And looks like Todd's going on the sticks right now, which usually means good things. And there it is, just like that. That is a beautiful cob. Well done, Bwana Todd. Well, I hope you enjoyed the adventure in Uganda as much as we did bringing it to you. Now remember, folks, please, very important, hit like and subscribe, because after all, that's what makes the monkey dance. We will see you next time on Safari Classics TV.